Okay, this is lesson 2.4, and I'm just going to show you how to start this assignment. It's going to be asking you for the average rate of change. Problems start on page 87, and let's just look at number 1. It says find the average rate of change of the function over the interval. And I'll do part A and leave part B for you to do on your own. So part A, f of x equals x cubed plus 1. And then they're giving you an interval for A that goes from 2 to 3. So what they're saying here is that we want you to think about the average rate of change, or the average slope, in other words, between x equal 2 and x equal 3. So these are your two x coordinates. If you plug 2 in for x here, 2 cubed plus 1 would be 9. 3 cubed plus 1 would be 28. You don't have to draw the graph, but I'm going to just so you can see a picture of it. So I was to graph these 2 points. So let's say this is 2, 9 here. So this is 2, 9. And let's say 3, 28. So let's say this is 3, 28. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8. Would be way up here. And the graph might look, you might remember that an x cubed graph goes like this, and the plus 1 would do what to the graph? Shifts it up 1, yeah, so it's going to go like to the point 0, 1. It's going to come something like that. But I'm not really concerned with the whole graph. I'm really only concerned with this part of the graph between the point 2, 9 and 328. I want to know the average slope, average rate of change. So average rate of change would just be the slope between those 2 points. So the formula used in Algebra 1 would have been y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So it's changing y over changing x, rise over run. In calculus, we'll probably write the formula like this more often. F of x sub 2 minus f of x sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. But that's your formula. It's not hard. It's something you did back in Algebra 1. So all I need to do here is subtract which 2 numbers on the top? 28 and 9. Doesn't matter what order. If I do 9 minus 28 on the top, then I have to do 2 minus 3 on the bottom. If I do 28 minus 9 on the top, then I have to do 3 minus 2 on the bottom. So just so you keep it in the same order. So I did 9 minus 28, so I'm going to do 2 minus 3. So that's going to give me negative 19 over negative 1, which is 19. So that is the average rate of change of that curve over that interval from 2 to 3. As a picture, you might remember this from Pre-Calc 2. The way we drew a picture of this is we drew a line called a secant line through here. The average rate of change is the slope of that secant line. That's number 1A. Any questions about that? All right, let's do a couple more. Let's do 3A. Number 3A. F of x equals e to the x. And our interval is from negative 2 to 0. So what that means, if our interval is from negative 2 to 0, is that we want to plug in negative 2 and 0 for x. So I plug in negative 2, I get e to the negative 2. Plug in 0, I get e to the 0. What's e to the 0 equal? 1. Yep. Graph's going to look something like this. Exponential graph, e to the x looks something like this. And I'm going from negative 2 to 0. So that is the point, negative 2, e to the negative 2, right there. Now you might be looking at that going, e to the negative 2, shouldn't that be negative? Is e to the negative 2 negative? No, that's the same as what? How can I write that with a positive exponent? 1 over e squared, right? Okay, which e is 2.7, about 3. So this is about 1 over 3 squared, 1/9. Not quite, but it's close. That's about 1/9. So it's going to be a very small positive number. This is the point 0, 1. So don't make this too hard. When you're finding the average rate of change, you're just finding the slope between those 2 points. So all I have to do to find that average rate of change, or average slope on that interval, is just subtract the y's on the top. So 1 minus e to the negative 2 over 0 minus negative 2. Or I could do the opposite on both the numerator and denominator. So my answer is just going to be 1 minus e to the negative 2 over 2. If you want to type in your calculator and get a decimal, you could, but you don't have to. Any questions about that?